Okay, so let's get right into it. We all want to learn better, right? Faster, and have things actually stick in our brains for more than a few days. But what if I told you that most of us, and yeah, even our teachers, are pretty much going about it all wrong? In this explainer, we're going to dig into the real science of learning and find the strategies that are proven to help you study smarter, not harder.
So, let me just start by asking you a question. Do you think learning is intuitive? I mean, most of us act like it is. We just kind of go with our gut on what feels like the best way to study. But the cognitive psychologists who actually study this for a living, well, they have a pretty surprising answer. And that answer is nope, not really. And this right here is the core of the problem. Our own brains consistently trick us. You know those methods that feel super productive? Like rereading your notes over and over till your eyes glaze over, or highlighting half the textbook? Turns out those are often the least effective ways to build real long-term knowledge. Our gut feelings are often the exact opposite of what the science says actually works.
And check this out. This quote isn't just some random idea. It's from a real conversation. One of the researchers we're looking at, a guy named Matt Rhodes, was told this by an internationally famous scientist who genuinely, truly believed that the key to education was just high-stakes cramming. But the science is crystal clear. That is just terrible advice. That whole midterm and a final setup only encourages us to do nothing for weeks and then frantically cram everything in right before the test. It's basically a recipe for stress and, more importantly, for knowledge that just vanishes. Poof, the second the test is over. That's not real learning, not even close.
And this isn't just a student problem, it's a system-wide thing. In a pretty shocking survey, it turned out that university professors, the people actually teaching, had just as many misconceptions about effective learning as their students did. You can see it in the data here. It's not that anyone is clueless, it's just that our knowledge is equally flawed, and that's holding everybody back.
So if we can't trust our own intuition, then what's the answer? Well, it's about moving away from all the guesswork and turning towards an actual science of learning. We've got to stop asking what feels right and start looking at what's been proven to work. And this is how they do it. It's a simple but really powerful loop. Scientists start with a theory, they make a specific prediction, and then they actually run an experiment to see if they're right. So, for example, they might predict that quizzing yourself is better than just rereading. So they test it, they look at the data, and they adjust. This is how we find out what actually works.
So this brings up a really crucial point. What are we even trying to do when we learn? Is the goal just to know a bunch of facts, or is it to deeply understand a subject? The science shows there's a massive, massive difference. Let me give you an analogy. Knowing is like memorizing the fact that the heart pumps a certain amount of blood. It's a single piece of data. Understanding, on the other hand, is knowing how the heart and the lungs work together as a whole system to get oxygen all through the body. It's about the connections, the why, and the how. That's the stuff that really sticks. And this is where it gets really powerful, because it creates a kind of feedback loop. It's not a one-way street. The more you understand the big picture, the easier it becomes to learn new facts and slot them into place. And then, those new facts deepen your overall understanding even more. They build on each other in this awesome, virtuous cycle.
Okay, so how do we build that deep understanding? Well, the great news is you don't have to completely upend your life. The researchers call the most powerful techniques downhill changes. These are simple, easy adjustments that give you huge results. Let's look at the two biggest ones. First up is spacing. Honestly, this is one of the most solid findings in all of psychology. All it means is spreading your study sessions out over time. So instead of one epic 4-hour marathon session, you do several shorter ones spread across different days. You spend the same total amount of time studying, but you get dramatically better results. This timeline shows it perfectly. I mean, what would you rather do? Have 3 focused 30-minute sessions when your brain is fresh, with time and sleep in between to let the knowledge sink in? Or one frantic, exhausting 90-minute cram session? Yeah, the spaced approach leads to way more durable learning, every single time. The second downhill change is retrieval practice. Now, don't let the word testing freak you out. Just think of it as practice. It's the simple act of actively pulling information out of your brain instead of just passively trying to shove it in by rereading. Every time you retrieve a memory, you're actually strengthening the path to it, making it way easier to remember in the future.
So what does this actually look like? Well, teachers can build this stuff into their classes super easily. Things like giving cumulative finals that cover the whole semester, or starting class with a quick review question from 2 weeks ago. Maybe even throwing a wildcard question from an old topic on a quiz. These are all simple tweaks that force your brain to constantly go back and re-engage with older material.
So spacing and retrieval are amazing tools for you as an individual. But what happens if we zoom out a bit? The experts we're drawing from have 3 really big ideas for how we could transform the entire educational system for the better. First, and this is maybe the most important one, actually teach students how to learn. I mean, can you imagine going through your entire education without anyone ever giving you the instruction manual for your own brain? That's the reality for most of us. And the number one thing researchers hear from students who finally learn this stuff is, why didn't anybody teach me this sooner? Second, teach the teachers the science of learning. This is a huge gap in the system. So many teacher training programs focus on curriculum and classroom management, but they completely skip over the fundamental science of how our brains actually learn things. If we armed teachers with these principles, they could design much more effective classes from day one. And third, we have got to talk about the most overlooked factor of all, prioritizing sleep. Our culture kind of treats sleep like it's a waste of time or a luxury, but the science is totally clear. Sleep is a critical, non-negotiable part of the learning process. While you're sleeping, your brain is working hard, consolidating memories, making connections, and solidifying everything you studied. The equation is simple. Better sleep equals better learning. So, after all this, the real power is in actually doing something. You don't have to change everything overnight. Just think about that one simple downhill change you can make. Will you space out your next study session? Will you try to actively recall information instead of just rereading it? What's that one small step you'll take to start learning smarter?